What's up, everybody? It's your man JFILT from howtomakeverysickbeats.com. If this is your first time, welcome, and welcome to another edition of Controllerise Beat Tips. I got my man Jug right here, so let's get into it.
This is what we're gonna get into today. This is Ableton Live 9 Suite. Don't ask me how I got it. I'm gonna set it to 120 BPM because that's like the natural BPM, and the technique that we're gonna use today is gonna show us how to bypass the strict rules of this BPM. So we want it here because we're gonna do some like live recording. Most likely the way that we're gonna play it is not gonna be over 120 anyway. So we're gonna have the audio device set to ACO. This will allow us to like play with little lag. If ACO is not showing up, you might have to like get a mixer or just a driver that'll let you do that. But yeah, this is really helpful if you're gonna record beats live, like play them out. Second thing, we want to have our samples chopped up. With us not knowing what the BPM is, and just us knowing how we play it out, we're going to go ahead and start recording us playing live. Now, before we actually start playing this out, we're gonna have to play this a lot of times so we can find, like, because we're gonna screw up regardless. It's gonna happen. So we're gonna play it about 3 or 4 times, and then we're gonna find which one sounds the best.
So do you have the metronome still playing as you're recording live, or no?
No, it shouldn't be playing. I don't know why it's. I think it's just when it starts.
So you want it like that. You don't want the metronome.
I don't want a metronome.
Okay.
And that's just like personal stuff. Yeah, so we're gonna play this out a couple times. Hit record. So, we got what we need. So this is the part that might be confusing to people. We're just gonna loop a section that we think sounds good to us. And what we wanna do is get the beginning time of the first sample, and that's when we wanna start the loop, and then we wanna end it where the first sample begins. And that's going to give us the loop that we want. And if you're satisfied with that, then you can go ahead and right-click the session and hit freeze track. Also, if you have a B section, don't worry about the B section right now. We'll worry about the B section when we get the BPM and stuff. But before we hit freeze track, we want to duplicate this track. So when we freeze the track, we'll still have the sample. So we're going to freeze. It's going to make it not be a MIDI. It's going to make it into an audio track. So what we played is going to be an audio and not a MIDI. So I can't play this anymore. So this is useful for us because we're gonna warp it. The length was just a bit above 3 bars. So I'm just gonna move it to 4 bars.
Cool.
And then I'm gonna warp that to 4 bars. And now it's gonna sound distorted because it's gonna sound distorted because the BPM has changed from 120 to 153. So since we have this new BPM, we're gonna set it to 153.3. Now it sounds just how we played it. And since you still have your sample, the MIDI sample, then you can put in your B section if you want, and you can still play it and just set the bars to 4. And you can also do your drums like that too. One issue that a lot of people have, especially like not starting with Ableton, like, you know, come from an MPC or SP, is that with those, an SP for sure, is that the PPM, I don't think they work with a BPM really. It's kind of just them like laying down the sample and then they get to put the drums on it. So when they get restricted by like, you know, like having to play in like 2 bars and then there's the BPM that's, you know, either going too fast or too slow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically you're creating a sample.
Yeah.
And without BPM or whatever, because you're playing it live. Mm-hmm. That way, once you freeze it, it becomes its own wave file or
it becomes its own
audio
wave.
track.
Yeah.
And then you can manipulate that however you want to.
Right.
That's really dope. So if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. I'm going to leave all the links down below this. Shout out all your info so they can find you.
You can find me at JuugBeets. That's JuugBeets on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, all the other things.
And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. More vids to come. Peace and positive energy.